So be aware that I've changed some questions. Okay, so let me erase this. First thing they want is for you to use the quadratic formula. So I identify A, B, and C. Negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. You know I like to take care of that part first. So that's the square root of 64 minus 4 times 1 times 2 is 8. Subtract the 2, I get 56. Do my little tree, 2, 28, 2, 14, 2, 7. There's my double, which is 2 rad 14. Now you know I like to throw in that. Negative 8 plus or minus. 2 times 1 is 2. They all divide by 2. Negative 4, 1 and 1. So that simplifies to negative 4 plus or minus rad 14. Now I'm going to pick up my calculator and I'm going to make sure I'm good to go. So I'm going to go negative. Let me go menu, actions, delete all. I like to make it clean. So negative 4 plus rad 14, which is negative 25, but that rounds to negative 0.26 hundredths. Up, up, enter. And x equals negative 7.74. Okay, now I want to make sure I'm good to go. So I'm going to graph this just to make sure I cleared everything to make it pretty. And I'm going to do the original function, x squared plus 8x plus 2. And then I'm going to go menu, trace, graph trace. And if you look, negative 0.26 matches that, so I'm good to go. Okay, I changed the second one. So pause it now, copy down all these multiple choice, then we'll go over it. Okay, so I need you to find all the quadratics that have a range of positive infinity. That means it's a parabola going up, which means what's got to be in front is positive. So it looks like this one in front is negative, but remember this is in vertex form, but I didn't write it in standard form. So it's whatever's in front of the squared. So if you look, that is positive, so the answer is A. If you look at letter B, this is in standard form. What's in front of the x squared is positive, so it's B. If you look at letter C, it looks like this is negative, but I didn't write this in standard form. Let me take off that x, but it's not really applicable. If I put it in standard form, the positive 3 in front of the x squared makes it positive. If you look at letter D, it is positive, but it specifically says quadratic, and that's a cubic. So that's out. And I wrote it kind of messy, sorry, equals negative. Oh. This is an x squared, and it's negative. Because it's negative, it's out. So they want me to create a quadratic equation, but all they gave me was a graph. Well, I know I have things either in standard form or vertex form. Well, the great thing is they gave me the vertex right there, which is 1, 3. So now I can just create a function in vertex form, always do the opposite, and there's the y value. If I was mean, I would be specific about what number goes here, but honestly, this is good enough for me. Okay, so just show me the work by showing vertex. Okay, name a function that could have zeros of 2 and negative 3. I'm asking you to go backwards. So here's what I mean by that. Let's say I gave you the function x squared plus 4x plus 3. And I would ask you to factor it, and you get x plus 3 and x plus 1, and your zeros would be negative 3 and negative 1. This is what that is. I'm giving you this, and I want you to give me that. So how do we do it? The opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. So the opposite of positive 2, negative 2. The opposite of negative 1 is positive 1. The opposite of negative 3 is positive 3. Then to go from the parenthesis factored form to standard form, you either box it or you FOIL it. And that's what I'll do here. And then I'll throw an f of x in there. Now, with that being said, let me erase this now. You don't need it for part of the answer. I could also give the same function, but this time I could have a negative in front of it. Because remember what I said, the goal is to find x. If you have a negative, that x isn't going to help me, that negative isn't going to help me get x. So this is really that times -1. Distribute, 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 erase the 1 because it won't be in there, and then f of x, or g of x actually, because it's a different function. Which also means I could put a 2 there. And I could box this out, which is what I did previous, then multiply by 2, and I get 2x squared plus 2x minus 12. Let's call that h of x. So keep in mind, I'm probably going to give you functions like this, and your job is to figure out which ones have 0 of 2 and -3. Now we know that we could cheat and graph each of those in the calculator and just go menu trace, graph trace, and all the ones that have 2 and -3 are the right answers, which obviously means you need to show me work or you're not going to get full credit. Okay, next problem. This is your function and they want you to translate it left and 2 down. So for me, I'm a visual person, so what I would do is I would probably graph the original to just get a visual of what it should look like. Now I see it here and the directions are literally saying go left and down. So that means the vertex needs to be left and down somewhere over here. So I'm going to make some conjectures based on what I know and hope for the best. Okay, 5 left. Well, left has to do with my x-axis. And so that means it's not a straight shooter. So left really means right. So +5. Therefore, it's really x plus 8 because 3 plus 5 is 8. Know that it's a new function, so that would be g of x. And then if you look, it says go to down. Well, the y is a straight shooter, so -8 and -2 is -10. Now, if you're not sure and you're feeling a little bit worried about it, graph the new one and see if it does the same thing. So x plus 8 squared minus 10. If you look, I can't see it very well, so I can go menu zoom, and I can zoom out and move it down here. And if you look, it looks like it went to the left and down. Now, remember, how do we get rid of this? Go menu, zoom, standard, so that way I'm prepared for the next question. And then menu, actions, delete all. Am I sure? Of course I'm sure. Then I'm ready for the next question. Okay, number 6, we need to create a new function, g of x equals, first thing, vertically compressed by a factor of 3/4. Reflecting over the x really means it's with the y. Let me give this more space. Translating 3 to the right, when it's with the x, it's not a straight shooter, so right really means left. And 1 unit up. Y is a straight shooter. Last one on the first page. I am changing the last one on the first page. So cross that off, and what I need you to do is pause it and copy down this problem, and you're going to factor it completely. Okay, now that you've written it down, keep in mind I said factored completely. Now I notice 96, 48, and 6 are all even numbers. So divisible by 2 feels right, but it's not the biggest. The biggest number that divides into 96, 48, and 6 happens to be 6. Okay. Now you have to know if I'm saying factor completely, I'm doing more than having you take out a 6. So I'm going to do some guess and check. And I know that the way to get 16x squared is 4x and 4x, 8x and 2x, and 16x and x. Now the great thing is the only way to get 1 is 1 and 1. So now my goal is to get the 8. 1 and 16 will never get me 8. 2 and 8 gives me 10, but I need 8. 4 and 4 gives me 8. So I'm going to rewrite that over here just to show my work. So there's my 4 and my 4. But since I need a -8, that's negative right there. Now you know I don't like you to write the same thing 2 times. So you write it 1 time, quantity squared. Don't forget the 6. It's still the exact same function. Now really quick, let me show you how to check it. So I'm going to go home, one way to check it is to pick a value for x. So 2 store x, and then take the original function, 96 x squared minus 48x plus 6, and set it equal to your new function, 6 quantity 4x, minus 1 squared, and it should say true. So I know they're equal. Now the only time it'll say true when it's really false is if you set this equal to this. It is true, but it wasn't factored completely.